being here at ground level. Thank you everyone for being here. Judge Kremers, Justice Ziegler, my fellow judges, my family, my friends, my colleagues. I had a moment just before my wedding was about to begin. And I was looking over the crowd and seeing the congregation of these people that I know and love. I had my brothers and best friends beside me, and I saw Kelly standing at the back of the aisle glowing. And I thought to myself, no one man deserves this. You can do everything right, you can pay your taxes, you can work hard, but you do not deserve to have these types of blessings. And that is the feeling of gratitude that I have here today. Throughout my career as a trial lawyer for the Wisconsin State Public Defender's Office, I've met a lot of people who weren't so blessed. People who felt unloved, people who felt hopeless, people who felt alone. A lot of them were kids. I don't take the love in this room for granted. I don't take the love in my life for granted. I thank you all for being here. The appreciation is deeply felt. The centerpiece of the love in my life is my family, my wife Kelly, and my daughter Charlotte, where's Cole, and my son Cole. Hello, Cole. Kelly, the second biggest application of my life was this job. The biggest application of my life was when I professed to you that I loved you and didn't want to live without you. And I remember this moment of self-loathing that I had immediately afterwards, saying to myself, my internal monologue resembled, way to go, Rafael, this is the woman that you have fallen head over heels in love with. She's going to reject you and she's going to be loud about it. Well, I'm glad I proceeded anyway. It was the best decision of my life. One of the things that I love most about my wife is that if there's ever anybody who screws up, if someone errs, if they sin, if they fall short in some way, when those of us start to get self-righteous, when we start to pat ourselves on the back, I would never do anything like that. How could this person come to such a state? It's Kelly, dollars to donuts, that it's Kelly who will be the first person in the room to say, knock it off. No one's perfect. Get off your high horse. I think that is such a wonderful trait for a human being to have. It is a particularly important trait for a judge to have. I hope to take that with me to the bench. Our greatest blessings are here today. Kids, I thought you did such a wonderful job on the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you so much for being here. I don't want you to get a big ego here today, but I think you are the most wonderful kids in the world, and that your mind is just, it affirms my belief in God, because I never, ever have done anything to deserve kids like you. Thank you for filling my life with love. I love you both. The day after I was appointed, I wrote on Facebook, as you do now when you're appointed. It's just what you do. I wrote that none of this would be possible if it wasn't for, that none of it would mean anything, rather, if it wasn't for my wife and my kids. And I wrote that none of it would be possible if it wasn't for my parents, Joe and Michelle Rafael. I mean it. Story about my mom. The best piece of professional advice I've ever received, I got when I was 8 years old. Back then, we were planning for my profession. And I was in second grade. Up until that point, everything that I'd ever done seemed to work for my teachers. All of my teachers liked me. And then second grade rolled around. And that teacher did not like me at all. And it threw me. All the stupid stuff that I was doing anyway got worse because I was rattled by this lady. How could she not like me? I thought. And then that made me do more stupid things, and she liked me even less, so forth and so on. Spiraling down we went during the turbulent winter of '86. So my mom sits me down, and I know what she was going to talk about, and I was really looking forward to her words of comfort and solace. Instead, what she said was this. She said, listen, kid, anyone can be successful when they're surrounded by people that they just click. Successful people succeed when they are surrounded by people or with people that they don't necessarily click with. And that's what you're going to do when you go to school tomorrow. I was so dissatisfied with that. Oh, the woman's crazy, we're going to have her fired, and then get in and bring a first grade teacher back. That's more what I was going for. Instead, I get that. Well, I have held that advice near and dear to me every day of my life. I think it's the best piece of wisdom that I've ever received. And the best piece of advice that my dad ever gave me was about priorities. It wasn't advice so much as it was a comment. Someone in his office had broken some sort of commission record for the month of March, and he's talking to us at dinner about his friend's accomplishment. And out of nowhere, he pauses and tells us, but you know what, he's a good man and a good father, and that's more important to me. It was an unsolicited remark that stuck with me. To this day, I consider being a father the most important job. And I have you. Now I want to irritate you both a little bit, because in thinking about my life and in thinking about everything that you have done for me, everything you want to do that you have meant to me, I want to quote a famous Democrat who's in town today and coached two of my attendees by commenting on my life and saying this. I didn't build this. I have worked hard on my life. I have tried to build my career. I've tried to build my life. But the foundation was poured by you. And I will never forget. My in-laws are here today. Brian and Dorothy Krupa, thank you both for being here. My in-laws, folks, all they ever do is help when needed. They babysit for free all the time, and they have never, ever told me what to do, ever. Anyone else got in-laws like that? Because I do. The death stares that I get when I describe my in-laws to other people. Both of my brothers, I want to say hello. My older brother Michael has been a role model to me for my entire life. Every classroom I've ever walked into, my teachers would always say the same thing first. You're Michael Raffel's brother? Such a wonderful student. 3 or 4 weeks later, they would say this. You're Michael Raffel's brother? He's a wonderful student. Tone and emphasis is very important to me. And of course, a special thank you to my twin brother, my good friend, my advisor, my confidant, my lifelong rival, my lifelong ally, my wartime consigliere, Nick Raffel. I can't tell you what a blessing it is to have a twin brother, particularly in times of upheaval and stress, times like right now for me. And just calling one of the best friends in my life, who happens to be my twin, it grounds you very quickly. It takes you back to a place where you feel you belong in an otherwise strange world. And Nick and my good friend Joshua Fredericks, who's here today, these guys were my 2 first legal partners, in essence, going through law school with them, arguing, them telling me how I was wrong, I told them how they were wrong. But I've always measured myself by you guys, and I always will. There are a lot of people who have gone to great lengths to make today happen, and to make today a wonderful event. I want to thank Joe for being the master of ceremonies. I think I've been to 6 investitures in my life. Joe's been the MC at 5. And for good reason. You make whatever room you're in brighter, Joe. Mr. St. Peter, I want to thank you for delivering the prayer. Whenever I think of the ultimate example of how to be a disciple of Christ with gaining vigor and exuberance and enthusiasm and happiness, you are the person that I think of first. You were my first choice when I thought about who do I want in my investiture. Before I thought of Christy being here, I thought of you. My buddy Travis Schwantes, even though he's not here today, I do want to mention that he felt so guilty about calling in sick for this event that he texted me a selfie of himself in one of those surgical masks, looking like he was on the verge of death, just so that I didn't think he was faking. Judge Simple, I want to thank you. I did my very first ever hearing as an intern in front of then Commissioner Dennis Simpson. And I have erased most of it from my, collective subconscious as a defense mechanism. He started to yell at me, and I started to go back, and I just started to sweat through my shirt. I was terrified. But what I remember, what I had not erased, is at the end of the hearing, Dennis called me up and said, "Good job, young man, battling for your client. Keep it up." And that was the start of our friendship and him being a mentor to me. Michelle B. was the first person to threaten me after my appointment became public for the bench, much in the same way that she threatened me today. She actually posted it on Facebook, a no-no in the defense community. Never ever post criminal activity on Facebook. Have you forgotten everything? Something about castration if my ego ever got too big. Always a teacher. She also taught me, now that you've heard Michelle speak, you can see how she would teach all of her students to have one phrase ready. Oh no. Oh no. That was her big phrase that we all had to learn when someone was trying to take it to our clients. And of course I want to thank my good friend, Sally Barrientes, who 14 years ago today, well not today, 14 years ago, sort of took me under her wing as an intern in the public defender's office. Sally took time that she didn't really have to spare, and when she prepared you for a hearing, she really made you prepare for the hearing. You had to know the law, you had to know the arguments of your opponent and anticipate those. You had to have knowledge of the judge, their foibles, as she would discuss. Hours and hours that she would spend that she didn't get any credit for just for the sake of teaching the next generation of lawyers. As much as anyone, she is responsible for the course of my legal career, and more importantly, she's been a very wonderful friend. I thank you, Sally. I want to thank my fellow judges, many of whom are here today. I really expected to be hazed a little more when I first came in. I thought I'd be dancing around with ice water being thrown at me or something of that nature. But you have been such a wonderful group of colleagues. When Cindy got her appointment, I made the point of letting her know. It's not a warning, it's just letting her know. You're going to be just astounded by how wonderful this group of individuals are and how wonderful the group is. Thank you all for welcoming me to the bench and being such wonderful colleagues. A word to the Public Defender's Office. I've got a lot of PD colleagues that are here today. This is a group that I'm exceptionally proud to have been a part of. Many times at parties, people, when you get to talking about your career, they ask, "Tell me how you do what you do," right? And then you discuss it over a cocktail. When they find out that you are a public defender, sometimes they ask, "Tell me how you do what you do." Again, tone and emphasis. But I learned from the people in that office to take that occasional scorn and ridicule and wear it as a badge of honor, as they have the courage to stand next to people who in some instances are hated. And this group of individuals stands resolved and dedicated to the proposition that no one's going to trample their clients' rights on their watch. I stand in awe of you as colleagues. Thank you all very much. I love being a judge, but I miss you terribly. I miss being in the trenches with you. I miss being part of the team. I thank you for counting me as one of your own. And finally, I want to finish with a dedication to a friend. There's a guy named Mike Neufeld who was a good friend of mine for 20 years. I met Mike when I was in high school. He was diagnosed at age 18 months, 1.5 years old, with Emery-Dreifuss muscular dystrophy. I watched him battle that debilitating disease for the entire time that I knew him. I watched as its progression gave him every reason to give up, to play it safe, and to slow down. Quite the contrary, Mike's attitude was always to speed up. He went at life full tilt. He was a graduate of Marquette University, became a published author, worked for a TV station, worked for Harley-Davidson. He was the Muscular Dystrophy Association national spokesperson. Whatever reasons he had to hold back in life, He always had the same reason. He'd say, let's go for it anyway. He passed away in March of last year, 50 weeks ago today. His parents, Carol and Ray, are here today. Carol and Ray, when I considered applying for this position and going through with this, I was terrified. All of the uncertainty that came along, the time away from my family, being a public figure who wasn't necessarily a loved public figure, but maybe a scorned public figure, the chance of failure, the new responsibilities, all the new things to learn, I thought very seriously about walking away from it. I thought about not doing this at all. And then I thought, you're a son. And I said, let's do it. I dedicate this day to Mike's honor. In his honor, would you please rise and be recognized? Thank you. In closing, I just want to say that I think every judge should have a mantra, something that keeps them grounded as they sit in judgment. And I stole mine from a guy named Ian McLaren, who said, be kind, for everyone you know is fighting a hard battle. I hope to be a judge that Milwaukee can be proud of. Thank you all for being here. God bless you.